I have a small project set up for a demo on how I do multiple rows. That is how I quilt left to right and right back to left. One method I'm going to show you is I can take the second row and select it, combine all the patterns in that row. Now, before they were individual patterns, if I click here, they're just individual in row 1, but if I click in row 2, it will select all of the patterns in the row because they have been combined. Next, I'm going to reverse the start and end. I'm going to do the same thing with row 4. Select them all, combine the patterns, check they are combined. I will reverse the start and end. The reason I did this was because I want this to stitch left to right, then right to left. If I use the virtual stitch out, we can see that that is what it will do. Okay, it's going to do this in all 4 of those rows. Okay, you say, well, why did you want to do that? Well, this is the reason. I'm going to select all of these other rows, and I'm going to toggle them as sewn. This is just for the demo because I normally would not do this. I will draw a boundary where I want the side, where the side of the quilt is. I'm doing this just with the mouse, but if I was doing this on a quilt, I would use the machine. I'm going to do an Alt-B and draw a boundary. Go down below that a little bit, over to the right, and then back up. Hit the right, click the right mouse button, and that closes it. Click again, and that gets out of this. I have all of these enclosed, and if I select all of these, go over and do the fill inside, use the fill inside icon. I'm going to delete that boundary so you can see. Now these black lines, these are stitching lines. This is a stitching line from row 1 down to row 2, then from 2 down to 3, and from 3 to 4. That connects everything. This would be in your binding stitching area. Virtual Stitch Out will show you how this would stitch. That is exactly what I want this to do. So now I'm going to toggle these as sewn. And toggle the rest of them as unsewn. And again, I think this time I'll work with 3 rows. This next 3 rows, I'm going to use a totally different method. Up in this area, I used combine all the patterns in row 2 and row 4. See, individually. Row 2 was an individual pattern, row 4 was a pattern. This time, I'm going to use a different method. I'll just go ahead and use 4 rows on this. And I'm going to use order join. I've learned that there's a certain order, if you're going to do multiple rows this way, that you have to follow. I want it to go left to right, right to left, left to right, right to left. So I've learned that I must start at the last row that I want to stitch. I'll select it, I'll right click, go down and click on Order Join. And now everything is selected and it looks like they are combined, but in reality they are not combined. See, if I click here, I only get one individual pattern. They're only set to sew starting here and going to the left. I will select the first repeat in the next row up, do an order join. Again, they look like they're combined, but they are not. Then they'll go to this row on the right, select the first repeat on the right, go down, order join. Then the top row, select it, or order join. Okay, I'll do the demo of the stitch out. But that is the way you must set this up if you want that to happen. Again, I can draw my boundary. I'll just use Alt B, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows I want to work with. I can go, I'll just start up here and go right to the end of that, go down 4 rows, go down into this area, go over to the right, and then back up. Now I have my boundary. We'll select those 4 rows, go over and do inside fill. I'm going to remove that boundary so you can see, and again, it's exactly like the 4 rows at the top. And if I do virtual stitch out, you will see that it's going to stitch left to right, right to left. Remember, when you use order join, it appears that everything is combined into one group, but in reality they are not, and you can select individual patterns. Now, once I did the inside fill, it did combine everything, and that's one of the reasons why many times I will do the stitching the way that I do to set up the inside fill. These last 2 rows, I'm going to toggle that as sewn. And these last 2 rows, I want it to stitch left to right, right to left. I'll select this first repeat on the right side of the second row, and I'll tell it to order join. It is order joined. I'll select the left repeat in this top row, tell it to order join, and it is. Now, what you've seen me do many times is when I put my boundary in, okay, you've seen me do quilts, or I've done videos of how I would just do 1 repeat in 1 row at a time. And sometimes I do that for a reason. So I'll select this repeat and do an inside fill. The next repeat, do the inside fill. remove that boundary by hitting delete. I'm going to do a virtual stitch out. And it would tie off at the start, tie off at there, and tie off here, and tie off again there. And that's fine. Sometimes I do not want this line down the edge of the quilt. So that's how it would stitch. This is just several ideas. This is 3 different ways that I have done the left to right, right to left, using fill inside, using combine a row, using order join. So there's different ways of doing everything that we do.